guy who's very popular in the YouTube scene, as far as wrestling is concerned, is Maven. He's probably one of the bigger, like when it comes to subscribers, the amount of subscribers you have, and views that you get. I think more so the views, because he can get a good few million views in some of his videos. He's one of the more popular wrestling YouTubers. And it's really quite something, the success that he's had with his channel, that he's been uploading videos regularly for a good 10-12 months on a weekly basis. Maven, incredible job with the guy that he's been got working on this channel, and it is very much doing YouTube videos that just happen to be related to wrestling. So it's like, all credit to Maven for the success with the channel. He's a guy that comes off just a likable guy, well spoken, just overall a good personality, and he's really tapped in. You mastered the algorithm, because the views that he gets, some of them it could be 500,000, some of them could be like around 3 million. It's quite incredible. So fair play to Maven. I wanted to do this video though. So Maven was doing a shoot interview with the two-man power trip on John Pause, his podcast, and so they were talking about a variety of topics, but they get into the stuff with Vince McMahon, because with this whole McMahon documentary that came on, the 6-part series on Netflix, and and with also obviously all the other stuff as well, with the lawsuit, all this other, all the controversies there about the women, the people he paid off, the NDAs, that whole lawsuit being filed by Janelle Grant against Vince, WWE, and John Laurinaitis. So with Maven on this interview, he seems to, give a lot of praise to Vince McMahon on this, and I have to be honest, Maven seems like a good guy overall, but I don't entirely agree with his stance on this. I can understand the attachment that he had towards Vince, being all that time that he worked for him. But I just think, considering the severity of these allegations, and it's already been out there that he did this, he was paying off women to keep quiet using the company's funds, and there's so many other there's stories out there, and we know how Vince acted and how he treated women. It was it was done on screen, but that was just the Mr. McMahon character, and they're different. That's different. The Mr. McMahon character is different from Vince McMahon. But anyway, with this though, so he gets into his thoughts and opinion on Vince, and he's not the only one, because other people have felt this way about Vince. It is very much, Vince can do no wrong in their eyes, and they will always give him praise. But anyway, I'm gonna play the clip, and this will go through what Maven says. But overall, not everything he says I think is bad, but I just don't particularly agree with him on the stance that he has ultimately in the end, and you'll see that towards the end what he says he has to say on it. But I'm going to just play this clip now. I'll react a little as I go along, but here we go.
I do know that when they started filming, it was before any of the current allegations were out, so
They started filming 2 years ago, like 2.5 years ago.
Different agenda with the documentary that they had to change on the fly. But I'm glad that they're telling the story. I had no clue about McMahon's childhood. I didn't know anything about his relationship with his father. So it's been eye-opening even for someone who, knows Vince. I mean, I wouldn't say we're buddies, but I mean, I do know Vince, and just to think of how guarded he's been. I did think it was funny when he's talking about going through and just raiding the territories of all their stars, and then when it happened to him with WCW, how he didn't see it, how he thought it was unfair.
Played the victim.
Like yeah. That's just ego and hypocrisy.
Russo talked about that before. Vince Russo has talked all about that before.
The Bischoff perspective though, because I was like Eric's 100% right. Vince did the same exact thing.
Exact same thing. And he did it because he was able to pay guys more. I mean, that's all it is. At the end of the day, money talks. And the more the more money you're going to make, that's where you're going to go in this business. And he had he went up against somebody with a bigger bank account. And all of a sudden, then the evil billionaire Ted Turner.
Yeah, and it wasn't Bischoff. It was Ted.
WCW were the heels.
Yeah.
WWF, the baby faces.
I love that they asked him, though. They said, isn't that a little hypocritical? And he's like thinking about it. He's like, well, I guess it can be viewed a little bit hypocritical. It's like, yeah, a little bit. The whole thing is hypocritical, yeah.
If you open up Webster, that's the definition.
But yeah, Vince Russo has said that exactly before about, he was saying like, now they've got Savage, now they've got Hulk Hogan. He was saying this back in 1996, and even Russo at the time was like saying like, oh man, you all the territories you raided, you're playing the victim, Vince. Just like what a freaking hypocrite.
Love it, exactly.
Yeah.
But most people don't like their own actions being thrown at them. Against them.
Exactly.
Most people don't like that.
Yep.
You know.
Do you think that he was being truthful a lot of stuff that he was saying on there or not? Because he kind of says in the beginning, like, you never know when I'm being truthful or not.
Yeah, when I worked with the Brooklyn Nets, we had a guy come in and lead seminars, just sales seminars. But one of the things he did was teach us how to. Yeah, because a lot of times, if you're trying to get a yes from somebody, you can tell with their expression immediately if it's going to be a yes or not. And if it's not going to be a yes, don't waste your time on trying to get a no to a yes. When maybe they're just trying to come up with, I don't want to hurt this person, or they're coming up with excuses. And one of the things they taught us is when you ask somebody a yes or no question, and they have to stop to think of the answer for 3 beats, 2, 3. They're coming up with a lie. And
liars are liars.
Yes or no.
That's what they say in sales.
If I have to ask
I'll skip this a little bit forward.
What asking the question, so I do know that they could be asking another question and placing it with a response. I have seen television done that way, but that's just to build intrigue with the audience. So
it could have been a fair bit of clever editing on that McMahon documentary.
60 to 70% of an honest Vince. So
yeah, because he even kind of says like he's like guarded. He doesn't know which McMahon he wants to let out, so he's kind of thinking of his answers or being very guarded about it for sure.
Yeah,
but sometimes he says wacky stuff.
Yeah, well, also when they say how much of I remember one part they said how much of Mr. McMahon, the character, was Vince, and none. And then everyone else that they asked the exact same question said, well, there's a little bit, and others said, yeah, that's Vince. That's Vince just with the volume turned up, or what you're seeing, that's Vince. And I don't know if it's just maybe just self-actualization. He couldn't accept that the Vince, that Vince is Mr. McMahon. I do know that
so many people say that.
The way we want to see the way we want the world to perceive us is not the way they do.
Yeah.
So and there's not many people that are going to view Vince and feel an overwhelming feeling of just he's a victim. Not many people.
Right. Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah. He's definitely.
He doesn't want to be the victim, though.
To be the victim, you can tell.
Yeah.
Certain cases.
A billionaire victim, like I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I do know that when you get to Vince's age, you've already planted the seeds of your life, and what comes up, it was sowed by your hands.
Right.
So,
yeah. Well said. Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah.
What would your answer be?
Hey, that said, I'm not sitting here talking to you without Vince McMahon.
Right.
And I can also compartmentalize the two. I saw a side of Vince that I will always appreciate, and I will always have respect and on some level a love for the man, and that'll upset people. Does that mean I agree with everything he's done or how he's treated people? Absolutely not. But I can compartmentalize the two. Yeah, I'm sure Jeffrey Dahmer's parents, didn't appreciate, what he had in his freezer, but they still loved him as their son, So
yeah, there's different parts.
Yeah, well, I don't know quite about that. I don't know about that when it comes to Jeffrey Dahmer. I very much imagine that they probably no longer could love their son and hated him after being one of the most prolific mass murderers in history. But with Maven, Maven is well spoken. Excuse me. bad sneezing today. He does make a lot. He's very well spoken, articulate. I can understand where he's coming from a lot of things, making some good points there. So it was interesting to hear his take on things. But I think for me, the whole thing about this I always will love and have respect for Vince thing, it's kind of like that's where kind of like the guys lose me. It's like, because at the end of the day, so basically, are you saying you can compartmentalize the two, that even if it did come out that yes, there was abuse going on, sexual assault went on, all this other stuff, not just with Janelle Grant, but other women went on. I mean, are you still saying that you would hold that statement, that you would always have love and respect for Vince? That's where I'm like, no, come on, I'm not, I just can't accept that. I'm just like, no, that's not, just doesn't work for me. And it's not, he's not the only one. You get the people like Mick Foley who are going out their way to say, oh, I'm trying to find an address, a number for Vince McMahon to tell him how much, thank him for how much he did for my career. But when you see all these allegations, specific stuff about, how he was, how he defecated on a girl's head, allegedly. But you think, like, gee, I mean, yes, this could be made up, but it's just like all these, like, it's not just Maven, but there's Mick Foley, there's other guys as well in the business. Vince Russo seems to all of a sudden now, he's got a lot of empathy for Vince McMahon and is kind of taking like a stance of, I'm defending Vince now. It's like, I don't quite get it personally, because this guy, I mean, the shit that he did to people, and it very much is. I mean, so many people give him a free pass because I guess it's just like, there was a side of him that people liked, and maybe just because of his accomplishments in life in general and business. But you can't really defend all that shit in the end. And it's almost like some people just, they don't want to believe it. Or in the end, they just want to like side with their guy. So they'll never fully just like, disavow him, they'll be like, oh no, still, I can appreciate him. He wasn't all that bad, kind of thing. And that's kind of like where I'm just like, nah, man, I can't, even though I think Maven's overall not a bad guy. I just think that take is, I'm not down with it. I'm not like this upsets me, like I'm some woke SJW guy, but I just don't really get that overall. It's like, yeah. I mean, I found it hard initially to believe. I didn't want to believe it, you know what I mean? I mean, I grew up a big Michael Jackson fan. I didn't want to believe those allegations that he had molested kids. But then as time got on, as I became like older and I was an adult, then I thought to myself, well, maybe there could be some truth to it, because there was multiple allegations there, and yeah, it's like, Mick Foley's another one, because I don't want to feel like I wouldn't pick on Maven. A lot of people are in the I stand with Vince, I'm on his side camp, but you had Mick Foley, Maven's not too bad because he's not this kind of like guy who's woke and virtue signals. I remember Mick Foley, though, making a big stink about how Donald Trump should be removed from the Hall of Fame. It was like he was pressuring, almost like a little campaign online to get him removed from the Hall of Fame. Also, he had, and that was based on allegations against Trump. Some could be true there. I mean, there was that big $80 million payment he's got with one lady. Other ones, though, haven't been proven. But, Mick Foley, though, goes on his high horse about Trump, has gone on his high horse about Elon Musk. He's left X, Twitter, because of Elon Musk being, taken over. And then, and Mick Foley's another guy that works with that charity RAIN for the with the survivors of sexual abuse. And I just wonder, people that work alongside him, they're seeing all those allegations against Vince. And it's like, oh shit, this is the guy who's like one of our biggest like advocates there, and he's now... He hasn't even just flat out condemned Vince, that, oh, look, I believe the survivors, like, taking that stance. It's like going out his way to say like, oh, I want to thank Vince for everything he did for me. And it's like, but you had no problem virtue signaling with Elon Musk over maybe some people because he was letting people away and not suspending people's accounts for mean tweets. But you want to go out your way to defend McMahon, though, you know? And that is like pure hypocrisy right there. You know, Maven's no hypocrite on this. I just don't agree with Maven's take personally. You know, we can agree to disagree here. You know, we can be adults. Maven will have that attachment because Vince maybe did a lot of great things for him. Maybe Maven looked up to him as like he was a father figure in his life at one point. And overall, he just has that respect for Vince because Vince had that thing. Overall, as a businessman, how he carried himself, he commanded respect. Some might say he demanded it, but he just had this overall presence. And a very intimidating guy as well. But I think overall, this whole, oh, Vince isn't all that bad type of thing, I just get a little bit tired of this. It's like, and it's just people, I think, yeah, they want to side with their guy, and it is a bit of that double standard. I think the thing that annoys me a little bit is the bullshit double standard. It's obvious there with Mick Foley, and some people it can be quite blatant with other people, but I think with some cases it's like if you're going to condemn somebody, condemn them. But at the same time, if you're going to condemn somebody but then give someone else a free pass of the exact same thing the person you condemned did, really you should just shut the fuck up. You know what I mean? But yeah, Mick Foley's bad for being a hypocrite, but I think this whole thing with Maven, I'll always love and have respect for Vince. He's trying to justify it and say, oh, I can compartmentalize it. It's like, yeah, if that's how you really feel, man, you know, fair enough. I don't really agree with it. I think people can open their mind, and deep down they probably have an idea that, yeah, it's not good what he did. It's fucked up. It's probably true. It came out later on that Vince, with the whole Rita Chatterton thing, that Vince had said something did go on, but then he said it was consensual. Okay, so let's just say, take that as truth then, as gospel that it was consensual. He still cheated on his wife though, Linda. You know, with this referee. And why all of a sudden now is he just decided to pay off? If he's just saying, oh, no, it's a flat out lie, it's consensual, why pay her $7 million? You know, why pay all that money to her? So it's like, yeah, they didn't want this stuff coming out 2 years ago, so they just wanted Rita Chatterton to go the hell away. That's just common sense, you know what I mean? So it's like, again, a guy that's like abused women, abused his power overall, treated some people horribly. And, you know, I guess he gets a good pass because he was like a Jekyll and Hyde type character. A lot of people saw a good side of him. I think a lot of people, we've got to stop doing this because we let people off too lightly in the world, in society. And again, Maven, his take, and Maven, that's not too bad. I just don't agree with it. But when it gets to like guys like Mick Foley, like they're the worst, you know, with their hypocrisy. And even Vince Russo was one, because Vince Russo initially kind of went from like I think this is true, and then even telling a story about how a diva had told him that she had been sexually assaulted by, I think it was by a wrestler. Okay, it wasn't Vince, but I think it was still at that time where it was very toxic, where the boys bully the boys, and it's bullying, and the guys like JBL and Bob Holly there. But yeah, and even he now is kind of like the whole, oh well, you know, wait and see approach. I think he, you know, I feel sorry for him kind of thing. It's like, can we really feel sorry for him? Like all the people's lives he's made hell. I mean, anyone you should feel sorry for, I guess, feel sorry for Shane, feel sorry for Stephanie, you know, feel sorry for the grandchildren, all the stuff they're going through. Especially like grandkids, when people find out that that's who their grandfather is in comments and shit that they say at school. That's the kind of people I would feel sorry for. You know, feeling, even Shane McMahon, it's like, I was thinking about this earlier, it's like, even like, when he met Tony Khan, or he met some other people that Young Bucks, if they're quite self-aware and emotionally intelligent, I don't know if Tony Khan fully is, but it's like, do they even ask Shane, like, how you doing? Because it's like, obviously Shane McMahon, all this shit that's going on with his dad, it's like, you know, how you do it, it's like, you're not going to reference the stuff, really, are you? And say how you doing, everything, all things considered, and that, because it's just a horrible thing for what they've been going through. Like, yeah, horrible stuff. But I struggle to have sympathy for Vince, but sympathy, I mean, if there's just people who are abused there, they should have our full sympathy and empathy for them. But yeah, this stuff, I mean, I get it. The people like Undertakers and all them, they're going to always have Vince's back no matter what. John Cena. But all this stuff, we got to start really holding people accountable and not just giving people a free pass, and try and be more open and more fair. You know, Maven's saying he had all of his love and respect for Vince. Well, that's fine, man. That's how you see it. You can compartmentalize the two and not agree with everything that he did. I mean, I guess. But there still is hypocrisy with a lot of the few, well, I say a few, but there's a fair few people out there that are still in the business that will defend Vince. But then totally, you know, if it's somebody they don't like, they'll leave them hanging it to dry. So I guess it's, you know, if you don't like someone, they can do no wrong. If you like someone, they can do no wrong. If you don't like someone, they can do no right. That's how it is. But hey ho, though, that's just the world we live in. But that's my video. That's my thoughts for now, guys. Video done. You know what to do. Hit the like, hit the subscribe button, and leave me a comment. Give me your take on what you thought, what Maven had to say, and just leave a comment overall on all this stuff what you think's been going on with Vince McMahon and this whole thing with Janelle Grant. Give me your take. But that's me for now, guys. Thank you very much. Cheers. Bye.